YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back after Sunday's action in NFL Week 3. I'm here to give you my recap, my takeaways mainly for all these games on Sunday. We did a Thursday recap already on Friday. Monday night game tonight. We'll be talking all the way through it on our Twitter, so check it out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Full NFL coverage here. We're actually going to be adding more content throughout the season as well, so I'm very excited. But we got our weekly picks, power rankings, and more, so check it out. Join us. It'd be much appreciated. Probably won't talk as long as I normally do for this one. I feel like I'm already losing my voice, and we didn't even get started yet on this one. This is one that usually kills me. It's a long one. We're going to break it all down. Here's our Twitter. A lot of updates on things here. Make sure you check it out. You can join our fan picks league on here. Just a lot of updates throughout games and news in the NFL. We had a trade earlier today, graded that on the channel as well. So first game, Bills 43 points and Washington football team 21. I talked about it. I talk about it every year all the time that the first couple weeks or maybe week one kind of just tells us nothing. Teams lie to us. In the first team that we exposed was the Buffalo Bills. We exposed them in a good way. Week one, they lied to us. That team was bad. They lost to the Steelers, and that's not the Buffalo Bills. This is the Buffalo Bills. They look like a very good team, as expected. Both sides of the ball. Defense actually has been looking a little better than expected. I think some fluky, weird things. They can't let up that big Gibson touchdown. Maybe we won't call that fluky. That was just a really good play from Gibson. And right after that, a special teams error, which led to Washington having more points, I think. I thought this game was going to be a lot closer. This was a big test I talked about during the week for Josh Allen because teams that run pretty good zone coverage have given him problems. Ron Rivera and Washington football team defense known for some pretty good cover three. And Josh Allen played very well. Emmanuel Sanders got going. Love to see that. Zach Moss. I love what I saw from Zach Moss in terms of the passing game as a receiver. Not only I'll be thrilled with him if he just, kind of just gets open, catches the ball, and we know what he can do after the catch because he's very strong and pretty smooth in terms of his movement after the catch. But man, there was some really good footwork and routes, within the routes here. I love that. So that's kind of that's a sneaky guy for them if he stays healthy. So I love to see that. Emmanuel Sanders getting going. So this team's even got more, it feels like. If they get Diggs going. I mean, Diggs had some big plays, crucial plays, especially early. Kind of extend the drives, get past the sticks. But they can get him going more, and that kind of creates more of a – that's what it does. People are worried about Diggs. It creates things for other guys, and Zach Moss is getting better. It's a talented guy if healthy. So I love what I saw. This looked like the last year Bills, and plus I think better defense. I like that they're kind of in defense's heads because you're so worried about the deep ball of Josh Allen. You can see what Washington typically does this against most teams, kind of a flaw. But the corners are played pretty damn far off. It feels like they're in that defense, or it looks like they're afraid to get beat. We don't know if that's actually the case. But when you play the Bills, it's kind of how it is. You're afraid that Sanders' speed, Diggs should start with Diggs, Josh Allen's arm. You're afraid downfield, but they just hit you underneath. They're getting Diggs coming across the field. They're getting Zach Moss underneath, and they're going to put somebody better on him because he's actually running some receiver-like routes, and it's just. Man, it just stretches the field out. It's ridiculous. So, both the great safety duo, both safeties, Poyer and Hyde, got their hands on the ball. That's fantastic. This is a monster game for the Buffalo Bills. This is more like it. Washington. Yeah, Heineke not the best outing, tough defense, but that he played against, but. Yeah, we kind of saw that. There were some people kind of getting hyped the way he clutched up at the end of that game, but most of the game was not good for him last week, and it most certainly wasn't good this game. So that's a legitimate excuse. Washington needs a quarterback. They need Fitzpatrick back. They probably need to get better even from that. And it is a legitimate excuse, but at the end of the day, that's really not it right now. The defense is – I expect this defense to be elite. It's still early, but we're getting to the point like what the hell is happening? It's a big problem right now. Corners are playing too far off. They're getting afraid to get beat deep, and then they let things up underneath, and then they just give up the deep ball anyways. We saw it against the Giants even too, either giving up the catch or committing a penalty, which was rightfully the correct call. On top of that, they're just not getting pressure. A lot of the times it's a pretty quick throw because the separation's almost instant because the corners. But there are, sometimes that happens with teams, and that's a legitimate excuse why they can't get pressure. But there were a lot of times where Josh Allen was able to move around, step up in the pocket, and he's just free to do whatever he wanted. So credit to the Buffalo Bills offensive line. I'm glad they kept the band together there because it's pretty, and they got Cody Ford healthy. It's pretty damn good. I'm already spending too much time on one game. But yeah, Washington's defense has been extremely underwhelming. It's tough for them. It's going to be tough to win that division. We'll see what happens with the Cowboys Eagles. Somebody's got to win. We think could it be a tie? Probably be a tie just because I said that. Yeah, but it's not looking good for Washington right now. Not looking good. They barely escaped that Giants game. It would be looking atrocious right now if they didn't win that game. I mean, we'd be on another level right now. So they're fortunate they pulled that one off there. Bears and Browns. Yeah, there's a lot of talk on social media. Well, I mean, Twitter, since they announced Justin Fields was the starter, that's all it was on Twitter was Justin Fields hype, and then now all it is Matt Nagy hate going in, and that's Bears fans taking over Twitter. The football world, likes talking about the Bears as well. But yeah, a rough go in this one for the Bears offense and Justin Fields and not his first outing because he stepped in last week, but his first start. Yeah, my problem with this is, Nagy isn't a good coach. This has been a thing. I've been saying this for a long time. And I thought he should have been gone a long time ago. I thought Pace should have been gone as well, but, it's really nothing new, but I think people are acting like it's new because their rookie first round quarterback they traded up for, struggled. This is nothing different from Nagy. He doesn't make the job easier for the quarterback. He's not a good play caller. Early on, they had a pitch on third down. I'm anti going outside and short yardage, and Nagy continues to do that. But so it's been happening though. It's a classic Nagy move. It's been a problem. For some reason, people are kind of just talking about it now. I think just because it affected the quarterback that they're hyped about. So I think that's why. So yeah. So Nagy's been to me he's been a problem. Justin Fields. Let's not make too many excuses here. Justin Fields played pretty bad. He played pretty bad in this game. A lot of sacks. The offensive line didn't help him, but most of the sacks were on him holding the ball too long. And it's okay, though. It's not okay that it was a bad game and they lost, but in terms of Justin Fields' future, his negative out of Ohio State was, yeah, he kind of goes through the progressions, goes through his reads. It takes too long. He holds the ball a little bit too long. He's so athletic, but sometimes he doesn't want to run, and he should run or get outside the pocket. And that showed here. And it's, why I say it's okay, it's because, if there was a new problem all of a sudden where he's just throwing interceptions like crazy, then that wouldn't be okay. But, you don't snap your finger, draft a guy, and his problems go away. He could be a great quarterback if he worked through the problems. It's not a surprise that the problems are still there. They just looked a little more severe than maybe what I expected. And I kind of wanted Justin Fields to be the starter week 1 because he has more to his game than Dalton. But now I guess we see everyone's ripping Nagy, and he deserves to get ripped, and he should have been gone a long time ago. But I'm almost thinking, it's the same Nagy in terms of play calling, so nothing's different for me there. But, hey, maybe he started Dalton for a reason, so that's what I'm thinking there. Yeah, just holding the ball too long. It's some similar problems in your Northwestern game. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit. It was only one game, but it was a game where Ohio State almost had to take the ball out of Fields' hands to win the game, which wasn't a good look, but it's just one game. Just holding the ball too long. And yeah, not getting, people kind of getting on Nagy, you should have designed it this way. You should have designed it this way. Sure, there should have been better play calls. It needs to be a better, things that could be schemed up a little better. Yes. But he doesn't really need to go in there and hold the guy's hand. Like if you're getting pressured or if you're sitting in the pocket for 4+ seconds and still no one's open, you need to get your ass outside the pocket, And with his athletic ability, if he can kind of develop that and understand when he needs to get out of the pocket, that would be a lot better. It's just the same problems, and he was a good prospect still, and he still is. He still is a great prospect. It just really shouldn't be that much of a surprise. We shouldn't really have to come up with excuses. It is what it is. We're going to move on here, And there's situations where, okay, if no one's open and you're standing in the pocket and there was times where he was sacked right away. It was actually, I think, one of the later sacks where he actually got out of the pocket. I thought it was a good rep, for the, I shouldn't say good because he got sacked, but he got out of the pocket pretty quick and Garrett was there in no time. There was a couple like that for sure. But most of the time I thought he was just holding the ball too long and just kind of sitting in one spot. It's good when a quarterback's patient. You don't want a guy, that's why I said why it's it's okay. It's okay that things happen because, there could have been a guy that just panics all of a sudden, instantly. There's so many of those quarterbacks, and those quarterbacks end up being bust, right away. He doesn't do that. He stays patient. I like that. It's just too patient. And that was the same problem in Ohio State. Just got to work through that. I think they can work through that. It just wasn't a good game. Stay positive on that side of things. It just wasn't a good game overall. But again, there's times where you're going to have to try to make tight window throws. All the good quarterbacks have to do it. I know it's his first start, so it's okay. But, there'll be the excuse that no one was open. Early on, maybe you expect someone to be open. Okay, now we got to adjust. I'm going to have to try to put this ball in this window to come back and win this game. And those things just weren't happening. Weren't happening, I should say. 6 completions, 50-something yards. It's definitely not a good outing. Matt Nagy sure doesn't help. Definitely doesn't help. I've been saying that for a long time. I don't like that. When Foles struggled, it was like that guy sucks. And then when Fields struggles, Nagy sucks. I'm not a fan of that. You definitely could put blame on all parties. Let's kind of be realistic here. And there's a lot of ripping of Andy Dalton, even though he hasn't played well enough, but we haven't seen enough, I guess. But I'm curious to see if they start next week. That's pretty tough. There was reports that they can put Nick Foles in. I don't think they do. I'm talking too much about the Bears. We got to get to the Browns here, but I don't think they do. But that'll be pretty bad if they take Fields out to put Foles in. Maybe Dalton's back, and I think that'll be best case scenario if Dalton's back, and nobody really feels bad then if he starts. But we'll see. They play the Lions next. It's a winnable game. But Bears defense, 26 points won't really show it. Maybe it will. Bears defense played pretty well. They got pressure. They had 2 4th-down stops. And I thought, at that way too early stage, I'm like, that Bears might win this game because of this. Robert Quinn, they got him going. Khalil Mack got 2 sacks. They're still missing Eddie Goldman, but the defense played pretty well. Secondary needs to do a better job tackling, better angles, but they struggled to tackle Kareem Hunt, which he had a monster game. But overall, the defense I thought did enough. Just not enough offense. It needs to be a better system, better play calling in crucial situations. But if that's not going, the quarterbacks, it's his job to make the plays, and it wasn't even close to that point. So maybe just too much pressure in the first start was kind of maybe the staff was afraid, or Fields was afraid to kind of have him make those tight window tough throws to have interceptions and kind of bring him down. But I think this has the same effect. So blame on all sides there. Browns, Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks. The team had 9 sacks. Clowney had 2. That's a pretty good day, I'd say, for that defense. That's what they needed. It kind of felt like a bland defense. We talked about first 2 weeks. Remember, you can't base things off the first 2 weeks. It's a good showing. A lot of it was the Bears kind of hurting themselves, too, at the same time, but I don't think you get that many sacks by mistake. I'm not going to be able to walk out there and get 4.5 sacks, so you get my point there. And they were dialing up some blitzes, too. We talked about bland kind of defense before, and now, here we go. Now we're in crunch time. Now we're in the season. Now we're getting into form, so I like that. Offensively, honestly, the Browns should have executed a little better. What the defense was giving them, what the Bears' offense was giving them, they should execute a little better. I think the early game problems, I guess, resulted in not them and I don't need them to score more points in this game. They had a comfortable win here, but they could execute a little better. We would think the Vikings' offense would kind of contest them a little bit next week, so they're gonna have to execute. We would think, they'd have to execute a little more here. But the first couple of drives, I haven't really been thrilled with Stefanski's play calling. That tends to happen after, first-year coach looks great. It happens Matt Nagy. Happens all the time, So we'll see where that's at. I didn't like some of those short yardage calls. I didn't like some of the 4th down calls or decisions. Baker can't take a sack. I know they're in there pretty quick, but an interception is better than a sack most of the time on those. You got to throw the ball. So Baker can't really take those sacks. It was 2 in a row, actually. Other than, I'm like, oh my God, the Browns could lose this game because of these decisions. They end up winning pretty comfortably, and they got things going then. Chubb keeping drives alive, keeping the clock alive. It's Browns football, what they want to do. But then Kareem Hunt had a monster game. Kind of had a feeling he had a pretty good game there. OBJ back getting going. That looks good. Baker starting to hit some throws there at the end. So they started executing the right time. It's just a big defensive win for the Cleveland Browns here. Moving forward, big game against the Vikings. I'm looking forward to that because it's just the same exact offensive system. It's just two of the same. Browns defense looking better than the Vikings right now. It's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a real good game there, I think. Next up, Ravens-Lions, a wild one. Way less scoring than everyone thought. It sure didn't help that Hollywood Brown dropped 3 touchdowns. Maybe we'll say, he dropped them, but maybe we'll say 2 because one, maybe he would have got caught after he caught it, but 3 bad drops. So the Ravens probably going to put the game away if the guy just catches the damn ball. We were already kind of cold on Hollywood Brown. He was actually playing okay to start the year. And pretty much, I think everyone's done with him at this point. There was one, I think it was the third one, where it was just a catch the ball in stride situation, and he jumped for it. He jumped into the ball while catching it over his shoulder, and that makes your job harder. If I jumped in that situation, I think I would drop the ball. I think other receivers that are very good in the NFL, they would think they would drop the ball in that situation. It's just high school mistakes, jumping in that situation. Like, what is telling you to jump in that situation? It's just in stride, over the shoulder, let it drop in. Lamar throwing the ball was damn good in this game. He was hitting some good, and his receivers were letting down. He has not been throwing the ball too well the previous 2 weeks. And he has an outstanding game, I thought, in terms of ball placement, throwing, and his receiver, and really just Hollywood Brown letting him down. Bateman can't get back soon enough here, obviously. I'm excited about Bateman, though. Was a big Rashad Bateman fan. So I guess the Ravens could have made it a little more comfortable winning the game if they had some execution there. But the Lions very well could win this game. It's weird. These are 2 teams that could have totally different records right now. But it is what it is for a reason. The Ravens don't want to clutch up. The Lions can't really finish, and it is what it is for a reason. But the Ravens, they're actually, for 2-1, they're pretty close to 0-3, but they know how to clutch up at the end. And the Lions, I'm not going to sit here and say they should be 3-0, but they could be. They actually could be 3-0. It could be about 2-1. Because the Packers handled them pretty well in the second half. And they did have some crazy things go their way in the Niners game, but it's probably a team out of all 3 of those games should have 1 win here. And it's a good comeback. I love the running back duo, their ability. Goff had some nice plays, ability to extend plays, even with his legs, move around the pocket, get outside the pocket, and they came back in this game. It really, in the end, they felt like they deserved to win the game. 2 plays in this game made the difference. They had a 3rd and 18 where the Ravens scored on Duvernay. It was he got loose in the back of the end zone. One guy broke his coverage on a 3rd and 18. What is the chances any team lets up a 3rd and 18? They're very, very low, very high percentage stop, I should say. And they gave that up. All right, it's been happening. We're still learning. We're a young team. And then they have the 4th and 19. They're playing outstanding defense up to that point as they're on this run. 4th and 19, and they give it up. You cannot give that up. So that's kind of the 2 plays of the dagger there. 2, overall pretty good defense in this game. And then just 2 plays would be the difference. It really what it is. And then the delay of game, which people are talking about a bit, but I think more people I think it would be made more significant. I could be wrong if it wasn't the Lions here about the delay of game situation. I feel like if that was a bigger team, I think people will be absolutely losing their mind around the NFL world. I would like to see the actual clock on the field, but they are synced up. They're supposed to be synced up, but I've seen times where people thought I was kind of waiting for a footage or a picture to come out of the in stadium clock versus what's on TV. Because I've seen that in the past where it's like everyone complaining about delay of game. It's kind of been a while because it doesn't happen too often. And then people will show, well, this will explain it. But usually they sync them up where it's the same. So if it is off, it's off maybe barely. This one seemed like a shortcut delay of game. But I would like to it didn't look like anybody, maybe I'm wrong, it didn't look like anybody was complaining or surprised on the field. So I thought that was odd too. So I don't really want to make yes, the Lions got screwed, or I don't want to make anything until we see that or know more. Maybe will we know more? But like I said, I think people would be blowing it up a bit more if it was, that was the Chiefs lost on that to the Ravens. That's how the Chiefs lost to the Ravens. If it was that, I think people would be a little around the NFL world. I know Lions fans are ticked off, which that they should be. Whether it end up being right or not, we don't know that. Based on what we see, it looks like it's wrong. They were wrong on what they did, the officials. But it's almost a accurate assumption at this point, I guess. But yeah, that was pretty tough, and that led to the 66-yard field goal, which Justin Tucker made a record breaker. Justin Tucker actually missed a kick in this game, which was surprising, and he made it, bounced off bounced off the goalpost there and went in. I saw it bounce, and it just kind of, to me, it felt like slow motion. I don't know about anybody else. I'm not a Ravens fan either. I'm guessing Ravens fans have felt like this probably, and Lions fans maybe too. It felt like that ball, when it bounced, it kind of just floated there like it was like slow-mo. I'm like waiting to see what happened. I actually thought, for some reason, I thought it was about to come back down and hit the post again. It's just hard to tell where the ball is. Is it closer to the kicker or back into the net? So that was absolutely wild. It's the best kicker of all time right now, right there. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, the Lions probably should have pulled this one off. The Ravens earlier in the game probably should have got themselves more comfortable with a little bit, better hands from one player, I guess. That's tough for the Lions. It's tough. They could have a better record right now. They fight. That's where you can give the Lions the credit right there. Colts and Titans. Ryan Tannehill, he's made some clutch throws the last couple weeks, some big-time throws, but he's a little sloppy right now. Ryan Tannehill's playing some sloppy football. We've seen him strip sack multiple times. He had 2 pretty bad interceptions in this game. Pretty bad one. One, at least, I thought was pretty bad. And they win still. It's kind of like not the same as last. Last week, they were very sloppy early, and they played Titans, what we think the Titans offense could be second half, and they come back and win. They play extremely sloppy, I thought, most of this game, and they still won. So it's kind of a shot to the Colts there. And I know Carson Wentz can't be fully healthy, but he shouldn't really be playing then. If that's what you got, he shouldn't really be playing. It was such a bland offense, and I usually don't blame Frank Reich, because I'm a fan, and I usually think he calls a great game. And I don't know if he called a poor game. I just don't know if they handled it. Should Wentz have played? They had to force a bland offense. They kind of relied on their defense. The defense is that's the thing. They kind of relied on their defense, and they created turnovers in this game. Was it 2 interceptions and a fumble? They should have won this game. The Colts should have won this game. You can't lose that game. This is your competition. There's really no reason you should lose that game. Now Quentin Nelson goes down, it's crazy because Quentin Nelson and Carson Wentz have that same foot injury, and you kind of feel, did they come back too early from it, because there's a serious injury there in the foot. And then they both get ankle injuries. Is it a coincidence? Is it because of their playing on that foot? I'm not a specialist. I'm not an expert in that field at all, so I don't know. That's one hell of a coincidence if that's the case, though. So Quentin Nelson, that's not good. Still waiting to hear more on that. Actually, we had some updates on some injuries, but so that didn't help. It didn't help that Wentz wasn't 100%, but they got it again. It just feels like the same thing every week for the Colts. Just need more juice, more execution. I like that they got Hines going in the red zone that one time, and he got loose for a touchdown. I've been calling for that. Taylor ran the ball pretty well. Maybe they should have ran more, but they were down most of the game. But it's not like they were getting, it was a 1-point game for a while at one point, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know. Colts defense did their job. It felt like their game plan, and sometimes your game plan is, let's just kind of make a game manager offense because we don't trust our quarterback right now. And we don't have too many guys that can really take over a game right now based on what we saw in the 2 weeks. So it kind of makes sense where it'd be a game manager and have your defense win the game. And that's what happened, but they didn't win the game. And did they ever have a lead? They never had a lead. So that's a tough one for the Colts. It's been a tough go with injuries and execution wise. The injuries been brutal. It's a tough go. I think the defense did their job. Titans, they're pretty sloppy. Tannehill's been pretty sloppy. Offensive line hasn't been right. They're 2-1. They've been sloppy in a good portion of each game so far. I guess they're 2-1. They just got some teams stay that way, even if they're good teams, and some teams kind of get out of that funk. When you play those other playoff teams, they put the Cardinals. The Seahawks don't look good right now. The Colts don't look good. Cardinals look like the only good team they play, and the Cardinals it's only week 1. Can't base too much off week 1 at all. But the Cardinals handed it to them. So my point is, when you play that sloppy, those playoff teams, which we think the Colts and Seahawks could be, but they'll hand it to them. So they got to kind of cut that out. I will say they were playing with AJ. The Colts had injuries, but I guess now I think about it, AJ Brown went down. He barely played any of this game, and Julio Jones actually got sidelined within this game. And yeah, look at the guys scoring the touchdowns. I guess we could give them a decent, somewhat of an excuse. They got to cut the sloppiness if they want to be a great team. Though it's really no excuse, because they can be a good team. But they had Nick Westbrook out there. He had a fumble too. I don't know why Josh Reynolds is a healthy scratch. That confuses me. They needed him out there. Chester Rogers, who scored on his former team, and Jeremy McNichol scored a touchdown. It was like some random touchdowns for the Titans. But yeah, I guess they were relying on some guys that were, they've been roster bubble guys, really. So the more I talk about, I can't believe the Colts couldn't pull this game off, honestly. Things went their way, and they couldn't pull it off. So Titans, sloppiness, but still ending up winning. It kind of shows that they're a solid team, I suppose. Just got to cut the sloppiness out there. Defensively, I talk about the Colts underwhelming offensively. Got to give credit to Titans defense. I think Harold Landry's playing some good ball, which I'm excited about because I was very high on him out of Boston College. He's getting a lot of pressure. Last year I talked about this, they dropped him in coverage too much and took away from his opportunity to get after the quarterback last year. The pieces that they added, I talked about this in the offseason too. The pieces the Titans added helped the rest of the guys that were already there. People didn't want to buy into me saying that, and I think it shows with a guy like Harold Landry. They're able to let him play his game. It's early, but he's been looking pretty good. They didn't blow any coverages. Titans been blowing coverages like crazy. They didn't blow any that I'm aware of. So that, any huge ones. So for a touchdown. So I guess that's a good sign there. Chargers, Chiefs, what a game this was. Early on, defensive game, and it was surprising. And then it ended up being a 30-24 is a pretty good shootout, given that it was an early defensive game too. If it was like kind of how it should have been the whole game, what would the score been? Something ridiculous on both sides. As Chargers, impressive win for them. Defense making plays, a playmaking defense. They're making plays, clutching up. Offense, Justin Herbert throwing the ball well. Smart. I talked about how smart he is. That's kind of the most surprising, how smart he is in terms of, where to throw the ball, when and where to throw the ball. That's kind of been, because we knew he had the arm talent. We knew that. Everybody knew since the first rep he took at Oregon, we knew he had the arm talent, the arm strength, and athleticism to go along with it. But how smart he is with the ball, and he'll have some, and I'm not talking, he'll have some kind of hero ball interceptions here and there. But in terms of, I don't know, just hitting, find the right receiver at the right time, drawing a penalty, things like that. Just timing of when to get the ball out. So they were clutched down at the end. I think if the Chiefs would have won this game, if they would have somehow put points on the board and score at the end and won the game, I think Brandon Staley would have got ripped for not running the clock out, kicking the field goal, but that wouldn't have been me. I like what they did. I liked what they did there. Too many teams trusting kickers too much. If you think you can go score against a weaker defense and the Chiefs, go freaking score. Go put the points on the board. And the kicker missed the extra point then, and that, he could have missed a field goal. But I think there would have been people that, because they would have lost by 1 point if the Chiefs would have scored, they would have been like, oh, he should have ran the clock out, kicked the field goal. And I understand that perspective. It wouldn't have been me. I love it. I love going. We're going to go score a damn touchdown. We're going to go get 6 points because 6 is better than 3, and I know we can score. I love that, so I'm going to praise him for that, while other people may have ripped him for that if they lost. I would have praised him if they lost for that specific moment. If you lose the game, you're not going to get praise outside of that. But, Herbert threw the ball well. Receivers caught the ball for the most part. Mike Williams has been a monster. He did have a drop, late. That could have been costly. Didn't end up being. I don't know if I'm going to agree with that PI call on that 4th down though. I'm not really a fan of that one. And I guess that would have been a pretty big game changer. The Chargers kind of shot themselves in the foot with some penalties once again, the red zone though, and so they could have been up even more. But I guess you could debate that. But Mike Williams has been a monster. Looks like a guy playing on a contract year. It's because he is playing on a contract year, but he's been an absolute monster this year. It's been crazy. So it looks like Herbert likes that target a lot. I think they could have, honestly, they won the game. It's hard to criticize a team at all, and I'm not trying to at all. It's hard to do that when a team is passing the ball so well, and they won the game. They put up 30 points against, probably what people would consider the top dogs of the AFC, or did. But they could have ran the ball a little more because Eckler was pretty effective, and the Chiefs are pretty damn bad stopping the run. So they could have ran the ball a little more, I thought, but they won the game. So, again, pretty hard to criticize them. Again, back to the playmaking defense. They made plays at the right time. It's a good combination. Playmaking offense, explosive offense that could stretch the field. At the same time, having a playmaking defense. It is a deadly, deadly combo right there. I need them to execute in the red zone a little more. Some sloppiness in terms of penalties. They're the right calls. I think we see a legal shift a couple times this year. It's just sloppiness. I think they can clean that. That's the good news, though. Hey, this shouldn't happen again. Let's clean it up. There you go. Maybe score more points there. Chiefs, they just turned the ball over too many times to win this game. I guess that would have been the shot to the Chargers, a negative thing. Like, if the Chiefs won this game, it would have been like, man, Chargers created that many turnovers and scored that many 30 points and lost the game still. That's a problem. So I guess that would have been the negative for the Chargers. If they lost the game, I wouldn't have been too focused on Brandon Staley's decision down there. I would have been focused on that. Like, how do you lose that game? But they win the game. Chiefs just turned the ball over too much to hang, and we could see they can almost overcome it against pretty good teams, so we know they're talented. Defense played pretty well early. The Chargers weren't scoring as many points. I'm not trying to say they were great, the Chiefs defense, but the first drive of the game was great. 3 and out, high motor, defense, everyone flying the ball. Just too many turnovers. The no-look pass from Mahomes is pissing myself and everyone else off. Like, what is the point of the no-look pass there? Guy maybe should catch the ball, but I actually don't. I'm gonna rip him for that one. But there was one later in the game that could have decided the game to Travis Kelce, and it's not a good throw. He threw an interception, threw it to the wrong team. He threw a risky throw. Comes with it. Bad play for Patrick Mahomes. But I'm not sure what Kelce was doing on that play. I guess it's hard to, because he's definitely breaking off his route. That's kind of what the Chiefs' offense is, and it's hard to figure out, all right, where's my quarterback thinking on this one? But he kind of slowed up and stopped on that one, which if he didn't, I think he not only would have prevented the interception, probably would have caught the ball. So I do think Kelce deserves equal blame as Mahomes. But overall, not good. And again, it's tough to kind of try to, in a split second, figure out, all right, I'm breaking on my route. Where's my quarterback thinking here? They usually are on we're just expecting too much from Kelce maybe because he's so great. But yeah, Mahomes got to be a little better with the ball. He hasn't played overall that. He's made some, crazy Mahomes elite throws that no one really can make the way he does it, but he's been a little off his game here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, minus the fumble, he's got to take care of the ball. Maybe they'd be 3-0 if it wasn't for his fumbles. You can't put it all on him, but other than that, he ran very well in this game. Ran very well. Pretty entertaining game though, kind of back and forth there at the end, but it's a bad loss for the Chiefs because they're 1-2. Huge win for the Chargers. That division's looking damn good, as expected, but better than expected. Saints and Patriots, and Saints defense back healthy, not even fully. Davenport still waiting on him. On Yamada, the defense played out of their minds. This is classic Marshawn Lattimore, folks. I mean, this guy, I say it every year. Early in the season, every year he looks like the very best corner in football, and he kind of goes down a little bit as the season goes on. But I always talk about corners. They take a long time to get fully in form and get going. So you keep thinking, could this be the year Marshawn Lattimore is that guy we expect him to be? But he's, so we'll see. It's kind of just a wait and see at this point. He's playing some great football right now. Top corner, looks like top corner, one of the top corners of football right now. Defense looks good. Titan coverage, just very well coached, very well disciplined. High motor guys, always around the ball. You got to respect it. Missing, I think they take a big hit in the interior defensive line, losing guys to whether it is free agency, whatever, suspension, and they know how to develop guys. Next man up, they got it. Defense won this game. I'll actually say it's a good example of why I say I'm not a stats guy, because I don't know. I almost want to look him up. Kamara ran for top of my head 80-something yards. I'm looking it up right now. 89 rushing yards, 3.7 average. It's solid, but you look at the stats. You didn't have too many yards receiving. You look at the stats, and it's probably like, yeah, he played okay, right? I think Kamara was huge in this game. I think he was huge. You look at, how many tackles did he break? It's a pretty tough Patriots defense. I thought he was grinding out yards, breaking tackles, extending drives for the sticks. Plays he had no business getting a yard on, or maybe he had 3 yards and he had no business getting more yards. You get more yards, extend the sticks, and that result in the clock running, giving limited chances to the Patriots to kind of come back, because they kind of they started a little bit. It felt closer. First, it felt like the Saints just beat their ass. But then it felt, at one point in the game, it felt like the Saints won by more than what the score on your screen showed. But then at one point it showed like, oh, the Patriots are actually in this game. So it's kind of back and forth. But, yeah, I thought Kamara was way bigger than what the stats. And he had good numbers there, good production. But, just breaking a lot of tackles, grinding out drives, the sticks, the clock. I thought that kind of goes unnoticed there. He's a physical dude, but he way more physical, I thought, in this game than most games, and that's on top of the rest of his talent. So I was impressed by that. Offense didn't really do a whole lot other than that, and they executed in the right time. Jameis Winston, Callaway had a ridiculous touchdown grab. Jameis was, I don't care, I'm just going to throw this up. I think Peyton kind of told him, you can't, we scored, but you can't really do that, So there's times where I'm, people kind of get on Winston when he does that, and I kind of like it, but that's probably not the time, because that could have changed the game if that was intercepted or whatever. But Callaway made a ridiculous play. Malcolm Jenkins had a pick six. I mean, the defense was everywhere. I think it's kind of guys feeding off each other, creating for each other. Mac Jones did not play a good game. He's been pretty damn good up to this. I think they should unleash him a little more. I think, you throw the ball 51 times, where are more of the shots a little bit. Definitely not making excuses, because he made some bad throws. Well, actually, one interception was on Jonnu Smith. Not been thrown with Jonnu Smith. They kind of scheming up some plays. That's what you do with Jonnu Smith. You scheme up some plays. I think it was last week. Was it last week? I can't remember if it was my mistake. Can't remember if it was week 1 or week 2. It was a third down. They had Jonnu Smith wide. Same. I think it might have been the same play. Right off his hands, incomplete. This one right off his hands into Malcolm Jenkins' hands, touchdown. If that was the same play, so that was one interception. The other one's Mac Jones kind of panic. They're trying to get something out of nothing the last one, but yeah. So he did not play a good game. But when they're in desperation mode, they're down. They take shots down the field to Kendrick Bourne, who had a ridiculous touchdown. It was a great grab, and I don't know how he kept his feet in. And Jacoby Myers they're extending the ball, getting the ball downfield, and you're coming back. You're getting some offense going. All right, unleash the guy a little bit. Unleash him a little bit. But he did turn the ball over. Damian Harris can't get much going. They're playing from behind, but yeah, he's been a little underwhelming. The fumble in week 1, and he's been a little underwhelming so far. Would like to see some Stevenson, actually. I'm not saying Damian Harris should be benched or anything like that. Should be the starter still, but been a little underwhelming. But Saints clutch up. It looked like week 2 wasn't, Saints are still kind of weird. It's like, we know we're going to get, they're going to play some really tough defense, could play really good defense. Offense, they got some weapons. They could be deadly. They could also turn the ball over given time. It's just still kind of a weird team, because I don't know if they would beat the Packers though again like they did in week 1, but they most certainly aren't the sloppy team. Well, I guess if Winston turns the ball over like he did, I guess they could. Yeah, I guess it could be a team that's kind of back and forth a little bit, but it's a dominant win for this defense here. Next, Falcons to Giants. I'm going to be honest, I didn't see much of this game, and it's because it was a low-scoring shit game. Close, I guess, so I shouldn't say that. Coming down to the wire, Younghoe Koo, who's one of the best kickers in the game, makes that clutch kick. Falcons win. Glad I picked the Falcons in a toss-up game, but it really could have went anywhere. Storyline of the game, I don't know what just came out of my mouth right there, but storyline of the game, Adoree Jackson dropped interception. That was the ball game. Right before the Falcons scored, I think a penalty followed. They finally just tried to throw the ball up to Kyle Pitts, because that's a dominant guy you need to do that to. To me, it's either going to be a touchdown or it's going to be a PI. They get the PI, but I think it was right before them. Matt Ryan just threw a stupid ball, and Adoree Jackson dropped a free gift. That's ball game. That's ball game right there. Giants win. So that's a tough one, because the Giants are that close to being 2-1 right now, because of what from the game last week as well against Washington. They could have won that game, but just not enough from either team. Falcons clutch up, win the game. Defense held the Giants to 14 points. It is the Giants, but still, give them credit. They held the 14 points. I said I felt like the linebackers were going to, one of the linebackers of the Falcons was going to make some clutch play, turnover play. Didn't really happen, but they were all over the field kind of controlling that game, so I was happy with that. Is it weird that the Falcons, it is very weird that the Falcons got Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, and we throw Mike Davis, who did get going a little bit. They could have ran the ball a little more too. though they got those guys, playmakers, mainly looking at the first two, and Cordell Patterson is their best weapon right now. That's a little strange. He is a weapon. He's a playmaker. He hasn't really filled in at his exact role, throughout his career, but he's been a pretty good playmaker. But, he's their best weapon right now, which is very odd. They were pretty effective in terms of yards per carry, if I remember, based on what I saw. They could have ran the ball a little more. Matt Ryan's still kind of hit or miss. There was some bright moments last week, very bad moments. It's kind of the same thing. It's not enough going on offense. It's just, who made that last play? A kicker made that last play. I guess the Falcons getting in that end zone at the end there helped. Daniel Jones, he didn't necessarily play bad. It's just not enough. There's just not enough from this team. Daniel Jones is either it's not enough, or he turns the ball. Maybe he has enough in terms of pushing the ball, but he turns the ball over too much. So it's one or the other. It was very obvious from last year. Quarterbacks deserve time to develop, but at the same time, you know what you're going to get. You know what you have in your hands here with quarterbacks. And that's why I really thought they should have very strongly considered a quarterback this offseason. I talked about all offseason. They're in position to get better at quarterback and or offensive line. They refused to do that. They refused to build spots where they were pretty solid at. So I'm going to rip Gettleman. Not good. They're sitting at 0-3. Falcons pull it off. The prettiest game there. I guess we can give some credit for most of the game for the defenses here. Bengals, Steelers. It's a big win for the Bengals. Burrow didn't have to do much in this game. Didn't have to do much. When you throw about 18 passes, pretty efficient. With it, completed passes, hit Jamar Chase has been fantastic. People were doubting him based off preseason. I was on board with the Bengals taking Chase. I like the pick, and I like it. It's what we talked about. Well, how good he is down the sideline, the deep ball. What I always, even at LSU, I always talked about the point of attacking the ball, the point of the catch. He is so good. Whether it's a lot of time it was kind of fighting off the defender without interfering and just outplaying him, or just kind of just fooling the guy. Fooling him with his eyes, fooling him with his body language. How fast he's running. I think we saw more on that. He was so good in those areas. That's why I loved him so much at LSU. There's really no one that can do that. I think Julio Jones in his prime of his career was able to do that on people. It's just very rare. And we saw in this game, his deep touchdown. He kind of with his, he had a step on the corner with his body language. You kind of thought, maybe the ball was going to drop in his speed. The way he was running, the ball was going to drop right in there. But as soon as the ball is kind of at its point, kind of going over his head, you see that burst of acceleration. The corner just has no time to react, and he just gets to it. Like, he knows how to judge the ball and when in the timing of everything so well. He's so good in that category, attacking the ball downfield. So that's really what stands out. It's a rare ability for Jamar Chase. So, he's been impressive. Boyd had a beast mode touchdown. I think it was a play before that. Was it a play before that? It was his most recent touch before his touchdown. He lowered his shoulder and tried to run somebody over. Love to see that. Try to get the first down. And he catches the ball in traffic over the middle and then runs some guys over. Touchdown. Love it. I was wanted heading into the season, the Bengals, right before the season, the Bengals defense could be a little sneaky, and it's been pretty damn sneaky so far. Interior kind of getting interior pressure, getting after the quarterback when you need to. Coming up, Logan Wilson was pretty clutch. 2 interceptions. One was a ridiculous interception. So, they got to get Trey Waynes back in. That'll be awesome to see. Hopefully he's good to go after missing a lot of time. But his defense has been pretty solid. Steelers' offense has been pretty bad. Very bad, actually. Week 1, just seemed definitely like one of those classic week 1s that we see all the time. Just a fluke thing, weird thing. Steelers won based off the defensive game plan that week. That was pretty much it. They've been pretty bad ever since. The offense is – they have an excuse with the defense. They need T.J. Watt in there. They get no pressure without T.J. Watt. Shows how good he is. I guess the game could have went differently if T.J. Watt was in there. He could have got pressure on Burrow. Again, they only threw the ball 18 times, so I'm not really – I think it was 18, somewhere around there, give or take. T.J. Watt could have changed the game for sure. He's an elite player, great player. It's not why they lost. They lost because the offense, Bengals, again, they only had to throw the ball 18 or so times because of the Steelers' offense and the Bengals' defense, So they can't really get much going. It's the same thing as last year. People will blame the play calling last year for the Steelers. But they had to play small ball. They had no choice but to play small ball. And it's the same thing this year. Quarterback just isn't good. Offensive line just isn't good. It's pretty much Najee Harris and Claypool trying to come up with things here. So it's not good right now. It's not good offensively for the Steelers. Defense, I'm not worried about the defense to get TJ Watt back. Defense will be fine. But defense's jobs get way harder when the offense can't move the ball. If you're constantly on the field and if that team has more chances, the defense isn't going to look as good. So that's kind of the problem there. So big problem offensively in Pittsburgh. The Bengals are 2-1, folks. They're 2-1. A little sneaky. Cardinals and Jags. Man, I felt like the Jags had this game. They outplayed the Cardinals for a little bit of this game, a portion of this game. Felt like the Jags had their first win. Kind of felt like the same thing in the Cardinals last week. The Cardinals actually could be 1-2. They're 3-0. They're clutching up. And it's kind of their best start. It's been best start for a while. 3-0, first 3-0 start since a bit here for the Cardinals. So, they're making the clutch plays at the right time. I guess it's kind of like the same storyline as last week. It's kind of the good and bad here for the Cardinals. When we know they're talented, we know they're a good team, and they can clutch up on either side of the ball. That's kind of the good. The good, another good is it's kind of the bad and the good. They play pretty sloppy. There's a portion of the game where they got outplayed by the Jacksonville Jaguars of all teams, and they could have lost this game, but because they weren't on their game, but they still won the game and they ended up pulling away somewhat comfortably here, 31-19. So why that's good, if you're on your game, you look like a pretty damn dominant team. You just got to be full. You got to be that versus the Titans, Cardinals against when you play teams like the Titans, when you play the playoff teams down the stretch of the season, where some people may still doubt the Cardinals. So you got to kind of eliminate the, some of the bad. Kyler Murray seems to be good for an interception, a double coverage a game, but he's kind of that home run hitter guy, a hero, guys that's his type of play. Still against tight coverage, he still struggled actually a little bit, but has had, the big time plays with his legs and then kind of creating guys open. It's kind of the same story as last week. James Conner had a good day. I kind of could see it earlier in the game. I tweeted they need to get him going. He ended up having 2 touchdowns. I could see that was kind of the matchup right there. Jaguars, young defense, had a game plan for Kyler Murray in the passing game. It felt like they weren't expecting him to run sometimes, which was odd. But they didn't really want any business tackling James Conner and his physicality, and that showed up there then. So I was glad they got him going. They chose to run Kyler Murray, I thought, at the right times. They clutched up there. Defense clutched up. Byron Murphy with that pick 6 there, which was the complete game changer. Jamal Agnew had that field goal return for a touchdown. I don't really know if I agree with kicking. I guess the guy Prater hit a 62 last week, so I can't really sit here and say that was a bad decision, but ridiculous return from Agnew. Slipped a couple tackles and just used his speed there. So that was really, it felt like the turning point of the game. They got James Robinson going. Lawrence's touchdown pass to DJ Chark in the left corner of the end zone was a beautiful throw. So there's a lot of things going their way. Like, you got to win that game. If there's a game that you're going to win, you got to win that game. I know it's against a tough team, but you got to win the game. Lawrence had an interception that was to Jacob Hollister, and maybe what's resulted in why them trading for Dan Arnold. It was one of the worst catch attempts I've seen from an NFL player. It's just a ball you catch in stride going across the field. You're supposed to keep your hands over the ball, and he had him under in that scenario. That's just high school mistake. He also jumped for that ball. It's just going across the field, catching in stride. If you dive, it's one thing, and he needed to dive, but jumping slows you down from running forward. It just, and he's been a pretty serviceable tight end for a bit. Nothing special, but. Yeah, that was bad. Little things like that. When guys make mistakes that high schoolers, if I coach high school team, I saw that, I would get after that, get on that player. That can't happen. So that interception was definitely not on Trevor Lawrence, definitely not. But the flea flicker was, I don't like the flea flicker call. What did you need the flea flicker in that situation for? You were finally in your groove. You were finally moving the ball. Trevor Lawrence felt like he was in a groove at that point. Don't like the flea flicker call, but then I don't like the throw as well. He kind of forced it to a spot when kind of hung it up there, which is rare seeing Lawrence hang a ball up going to the sideline because that's his game right there, the sideline. That's what makes him a first overall pick, because guys that can't throw the sideline like he does, that've been in the league forever, just natural ability. So bad pick 6. I didn't like the position he was put in. I saw all 22 of it, and he actually had DJ Chark, which I think the play was actually designed for, so maybe you can not beat up the play call as much. I still beat him up. Wide open, and maybe he was forced out and couldn't make that throw, but he made I thought the harder throw, even though it was shorter. Sometimes that's the harder throw. He did have Chark open in that one. I think it would have been a touchdown. I believe it was Budda Baker he beat on that. It was a quick move and go, quick little hesitation and go, which was a great route by Chark, who already had a touchdown in that game. So tough one there for the Jags. Sucked the life out of themselves. Is a game they could have won there. Cardinals 3-0 right now. They keep on winning here. They keep on winning, and it's then they get that moment. They got momentum already, but they got so many weapons. Figuring out that they can use the run game. Let's use James Conner. Chase Edmonds, I think, has more to his game. Most games, I think he'll be their better back. But just so many weapons to use there too. So that's awesome. Jets and Broncos. I thought the Jets would put up a fight. I really thought this could be a trap game. Jets aren't good at all, but I thought their defense has been playing pretty solid. Broncos offense has been playing very well, but are they for real? Look who they played so far. Are they for real? So believe it or not, I actually think this is a pretty big win for the Broncos. It's the Jets. They might be the worst team in football. But this, again, I really felt like it could have been a trap game. I picked the Broncos to win still, thank God. Just because they were just playing simple, the better team on both sides of the ball. So I was pretty confident in winning. I just thought the Jets could make it a lot closer. But the Broncos still looking good on offense, despite playing a pretty solid, what we think was pretty solid defense based off the first 2 weeks. Maybe they just weren't. Maybe they're too beat up. But yeah, the Broncos offense been getting going. Defense is what did it in this game, though. Getting pressure on Zach Wilson, getting to the quarterback. Vic Fangio down up A.J. Johnson blitzes. I think he got 2 sacks on blitzes. Yeah, that's how you do it. I'd say the A.J. Johnson blitz worked. It's a good day on defense there for the Broncos, and their offense executed as well. Jets, it's been bad. Zach Wilson, I'm definitely worried there. Maybe it's too early to get worried, but it's been bad. Holding the ball too long, making some pretty poor throws, poor decisions, not knowing when to step up in the pocket, sometimes dropping way too far back, not knowing when to get outside the pocket, things we really didn't see at BYU, but he wasn't really pressured at all in BYU, so I guess kind of getting used to it. But there's times where he's got time. He's got a little bit more time than you would think based on how many times he's been sacked. So kind of been a similar story for some of these rookie quarterbacks. I'm just shocked because it's an offense that shouldn't really be that easy to game plan for, because you have the strong arm quarterback, you have a load of receivers. I don't know how Denzel Mims can't be out there. That makes no sense to me. 0 points is just, they've been scoring more than 0. Obviously, they've been scoring, but it's basically been the same thing every week. It's just unacceptable, really. So it's bad. It's bad in New York. I don't think I got anything else on that. Broncos are 3-0. Dominant win for the defense. Offense looks better than expected. Teddy Bridgewater, again, another week and another maybe the right decision there, starting Teddy Bridgewater. Dolphins and Raiders end up being a very entertaining game, a very weird game. Starts with a pick 6 of Landon Roberts. Foster Moreau stopped his route early, so he definitely deserves some blame. There's a lot of people out there that won't blame the quarterback at all. That's really not going to be me. He still threw the ball. Kind of looked like Carr panicked a little bit and whipped it one way. So you definitely put equal blame on Carr there. But after that, Derek Carr has been playing out of his mind. Some more beautiful touch throws down the field. He's been playing very, very, very good football. Clutch football, I might add, as well. And adjusting to kind of defense as well, because the Dolphins they blitzed a bit. I called that happen. It's obvious. I knew that was going to happen. He did the same thing in the Ravens game. They blitzed early, showed different looks, mainly I should say, and kind of adjusted to that. It's pretty tough. That could be the toughest part of being a quarterback, kind of reading and adjusting to those different looks the defenses are getting you. So really adjusted to that. So made some really good and clutch throws like he has been making this early stage of the season. He's been lights out. Brian Edwards has been pretty damn good for them, clutch for them. Renfro's been clutch. Peyton Barber kind of racked up some yards, a little inconsistent on the runs, a little, there, but Yeah, I mean, they don't have Josh Jacobs either. I mean, the Dolphins are missing their quarterback, but just from the Raiders side of things, not comparing the Dolphins, get Josh Jacobs back, that'd be great. Get more offense going. It was a weird game, though, because the Dolphins started so well. Actually, believe it or not, I think the Dolphins probably could have ran the ball more because it's not really a run team at all. They need to get better there, but Malcolm Brown got loose for a touchdown. I thought they had a pretty good average running the ball, some pretty good success. The Raiders didn't really look like themselves stopping the run. By themselves, I mean just compared to the first 2 weeks. So I guess we don't really know what their identity is in terms of stopping the run. So I think the Dolphins could have ran the ball more, possibly. So there is good news for the Dolphins in this game, though. I thought that it looked like they kind of figured something out there at the end. They got Brissett going. I like the shots, even if they didn't connect on some of them. I like the shots downfield, going deep downfield, using what you have, And again, I thought they were pretty successful running the ball. They could have used a little more, but they lost, and it's a game they probably could have won even without their quarterback, but maybe something clicked. Maybe something happened, and the Dolphins aren't going to be, they're definitely not going to be a free win. They can win some games here. Top of my head, I don't know who they play coming up next few weeks without Tua, but, I don't know, Brissett picked it up there. I thought he kind of started to take things in his own hands. That screen pass in the end zone was an awful call. And the Dolphins were up, and it's like, oh, God, Dolphins are going to upset the Raiders here. They got this. Raiders are playing sloppy. Then the screen pass in the end zone, safety, terrible play call happened. Flipped the game completely. Raiders are running away with this. And all of a sudden, the Dolphins are back. They tied a game, get a 2-point conversion, sent it to overtime. And they moved the ball in overtime. Raiders touched the ball twice. Dolphins touched the ball once. Obviously, they both got field goals. And the Raiders got another field goal. Then, where was I at? It was a weird game, kind of back and forth there. But I guess it's Brissett kind of took things in his own hands there, took shots, maybe went against what the first read was supposed to be. Maybe the coaching staff, I'm just kind of making assumptions here based on what I saw. Maybe the coaching staff was trying to hold his hand, force him to do things early. And I thought he got out of that. So at one point it looked like, man, they're nowhere near the same with Tua. To look like, okay, they're not much different. Brissett's getting going here. Will Fuller, they're trying to get him going downfield. So there's positives here for the Dolphins. If it wasn't for that screen pass safety, they might have won. They win the game. I'm actually gonna say it, and they win the game. Because the Raiders don't get the momentum then. The Dolphins probably they win regulation there. So Raiders. Some sloppy play early. You think they're at home would be able to handle the Dolphins, missing some guys. Missing their quarterback, I should say. So that's kind of the bad. A little sloppy. Should deal with this before overtime. Dolphins will figure out ways to move the ball, but Raiders weren't really on their game. They kind of had to get out of funks throughout this game and figure out how to execute if they're on their game. Very good team. They're undefeated. That's what we say at the end of the day for the Raiders, is what I have to say. Bucks, Rams. Ooh, that's a good game for the Rams. This is a real good game for the Rams. I'm glad I picked them. I'm not worried about the Bucks. I kind of like the way the Rams matched up with them in this specific game here in the regular season in L.A. The Rams will be up. The Rams offense is a problem. It's in a good way for them. It's a problem. I'm not worried about the Bucks though. Missing Antonio Brown, missing Jason Pierre-Paul. Not really excuses though, but they weren't full strength. Gotta get the run game going. I guess they were coming from behind, but they could have got the run game going a little more. I guess that's the negative for the Bucks there. Defense wasn't too good. They were getting beat deep too often. So I mean, I'm just really not too worried. They just got beat this game. It's pretty much what it was. The Rams handed it to them. The Rams actually, Stafford kind of missed some opportunities to some execution. They missed on executing some big plays. They still scored 34 points overall. In general, good execution. It just could have been even more, which is ridiculous. I love what I saw from Deshaun Jackson. The guy's 34 years old and is flying. I mean, you got to respect that. It's rare. We don't see that, so I love seeing those things you don't see. Just absolutely flying. Deep ball touchdown. I mean, he could have had a couple, actually, but he burned past the corner and he broke the safety's ankles while he was 10 yards away from the safety. 5 to 10 yards in that range. He broke his ankles on just a quick move. Speed's ridiculous at 34 years old. I mean, he's turning 35 this year, too. So he's going to be 35 in 2021. It's absolutely absurd. You don't see that ever, really. Cooper Kupp's an animal. Matthew Stafford, him and Stafford and Cooper Kupp, that's a duo right now. I like seeing we got Woods in the backfield. Like seeing that. I think Sony Michel did enough against an elite run defense. Thought he did enough. Nothing obviously spectacular. Just did it. Just kind of got it done. Spreading the ball around. Spreading the ball around. I mean, the weapons is ridiculous. Van Jefferson catch the ball at Woods the way they use Woods. Higbee scored. Cooper Kupp. Deshaun Jackson. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Stafford has the arm as well. Another one of those teams like the Bills we talk about, they stretch the field so much. Like we have to worry about the deep ball so much. We have to count for that guy, this guy, that guy, that guy. They could run the ball. We don't know if they're going to run the ball. They could dump it underneath the Robert Woods coming across the field. They could dump it up in the middle of the field to Higbee. But again, we got to worry about the deep ball. We're still getting burned deep, and that's against a very good defense. That's how good the Rams offense is. They can win a Super Bowl. Got to stay healthy. Worry about Stafford's durability down the stretch of the season. That was what my case early in the year. You know, that they win the Super Bowl if they go to the Super Bowl, they stay fully healthy. So we'll see. But yeah, that's a great win there. The defense, you know, same thing. You know, they kind of been giving up some yards, some points, and they give up some points in this game, but some yards to get down the field. I think they clutch up in right moments. Kind of get a sack in the right moment. You get, force an incompletion, make a good hit, force an incompletion. In the right moments. It's kind of the Rams defense. They're a little more locked down last year, but they're clutching up in the right moments here. It's a big win. It's a big win. Power rankings are every Tuesday, but I kind of gave a spoiler because it was 1 and 2, 1 Bucks versus 2 Rams. If the Rams beat the Bucks, they'd be number 1. So no surprise there. What's going to happen in the Tuesday power rankings? Seahawks and the Vikings. The Vikings got to win. They could have won the first 2 weeks. Couldn't pull it off. They found a way this week. 30-17 against the Seahawks. That's pretty impressive there. Defense looked terrible in the first half and then just held the Seahawks to 17. And I'll tell you what happened. Why the Seahawks offense shut down when the Vikings defense kind of stepped up. First half, the Seahawks were running a lot of no huddle. I love me some no huddle. It's so hard to stop. And by doing that, Mike Zimmer is a big sub package guy. Just rotation guy. Getting guys in for this specific situation. By going no huddle, the Vikings couldn't do that. Smart by the Seahawks. You also wear the defense out, and they're just getting free yards, free points. Second half, and I'm trying to identify, maybe why exactly they didn't run as much no huddle. Maybe Zimmer adjusted and was kind of keeping the pass defense because it really helped that the offense kept scoring. So Zimmer was able to kind of keep the pass defense package out there for the most part. So the Seahawks all right, this might be pointless. Could have been that. Could have been stupid and just stopped running it, the hard part why teams don't run it a lot is because it really wears guys out. I mean, you got a lot of guys out there playing into the 30s. It's not like college football. These guys are young kids. They're just got crazy energy. So that could be a reason as well. But that really shifted things. But really why they're able to do that, the Vikings that is because their offense kept scoring. They kept scoring to force the Seahawks in obvious pass situations where the defense can predict what they're doing, where the rotation isn't much of a mystery, or maybe we can't get it on there. It doesn't really matter. So that was a big turning point in this game. Kirk Cousins has been playing some really good football. He's been playing, they were 0-2, and people didn't really realize how good a football he's playing. Another great game. He's been actually, believe it or not, dominant against the blitz. The Seahawks kept blitzing him, and he was beating them every time. Some ridiculous throws. One to KJ Osborne on a third down across the field. No Dalvin Cook, no problem. Alexander Madison's it's a running back one. He's a starting running back, even though he's not. He's just that talented. I was very high on him at Boise State. You could see right away all the talent. He's not Dalvin Cook, but he's very talented. I mean, you look at the physicality of the tackles he breaks, but he gets catch the ball out of the backfield, downfield, gets going, can juke somebody out. It's just impressive. So he had a monster game. Thielen's a touchdown machine. Justin Jefferson had a monster game in terms of the yardage. They got Conklin going. There's been a lack of tight end production. They traded for Herndon. Still a little worried about that. Traded a 4th round. They did swap picks, but 4th round pick for Herndon. Where is he at? Conklin got going, so that was good there. The Vikings. Yeah, again, defense clutched up. They clutched up because it was very, very poor in the first half and the season so far. Very solid in the second half, making big-time plays. Everson Griffin getting after the quarterback. A lot tighter in coverage in the second half. So that was impressive. Seahawks, it's kind of been the same story for the defense is just not good, actually. That's not really what I was getting to, but we kind of figured that. There was some people that really thought they were going to be good because of the way they ended last year, but just a lack of pass rush. They got to rely on the blitz too much. Blitz is going to look beautiful against some teams, not every team. Mainly the good teams just know how to beat the blitz, But, yeah, they rely on the blitz too much. The cornerback plays bad. It's bad. Jamal Adams isn't playing well. It's not going well for the defense there. But offensively, it's been the same story every single game. Like, I felt like they could have put the Colts away, beat them big, and the offense did enough in that game, but it kind of felt like a boring game, just not, they kind of slowed down, the Colts offense just couldn't get it going. The Seahawks won in the second game. It's like, all of a sudden they get stopped and they kind of just can't get things going anymore. The Titans and the Vikings game, it's the same exact thing there. And, so it's kind of been the same story so far for the Seahawks. I thought they would start a little better this year. I think it's only going to get tougher. So I don't know. I don't know. It was a weird team last year where they kind of became a completely different team in different ways. Second half of the year. So we'll see if things change. But the second half offense got to be better. The teams are adjusting for them in second halves. They're not adjusting at all. I think that's a problem. And defensively, I don't know what you could do defensively really at this point. They got to rely on the blitz. They almost have to. Cornerback play's not bad. I mean, it is bad. So it's tough. It's weird seeing the Seahawks 1-2. Much needed win for the Vikings there. They get the job done. Kirk Cousins is playing very well. Packers 49ers. I actually went to a wedding during this game, so I didn't see a chunk of this game. Unfortunately, it was great. I saw the end though, so that was fantastic. I saw what I saw, and I went back and watched some. But I saw live. I just in time for Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the ball backwards, and I was surprised that didn't that wasn't game over. Really, Packers win the game. But where you can kind of get after them, they got to finish that game off right there. They should not let the 49ers back in after that kind of a gift there. You could say if that weird Garoppolo does have weird turnovers like that, but if that weird fluky thing doesn't happen, 49ers probably win the game, and that really shouldn't be the case for the Packers there. So that, that one thing we kind of get on the Packers there to kind of allow the 49ers, back in the game down 17 and kind of stay in the game after that brutal mistake that really, it was weird. It was like he spiked it backwards. I actually thought it was the right call for 100%. I thought they would actually review that because it's a little tricky. You never see a guy, because if you spike it, it's incomplete. Behind the line of scrimmage, you could spike it. But because he turned his body and did it, and I think he brushed his own hand, which didn't help things. But I'm surprised they didn't look, usually the refs make things more complicated than it needs to be. So I'm surprised they didn't actually review that forever, but it was the right call. Like I said, I wasn't able to watch a chunk of this game, and people were telling me on Twitter, just classic Twitter and classic fans, people were telling me on Twitter at the first half when the 49ers were down, maybe it was 49ers fans, I'm just assuming, but it's a pretty good assumption, saying that the refs are giving the Packers the game. Second half, you got fans telling me the refs are giving the 49ers the game back, so I thought that was kind of funny. It's just kind of classic fans on social media there, but I did go back and see some things. There were some questionable things, in this game, especially down the stretch. In the game that I guess calls that could have went either way. I didn't really think there was any phantom calls, anything like that. Nothing to complain about too much. But yeah, the 49ers. This. I'm not a fan of the 49ers in this game here. They could have won the game. You could say they should have won the game. It's against a good team. They almost won. But it's just why I'm kind of coming down on them a little bit, because where do I trust the 49ers? They go cold on offense in the beginning for this game. They could have a weird turnover at any given time. Jimmy Garoppolo throws a lot of balls in traffic, as well. So where the offense can be so deadly too. It's a well-called offense. It can be so deadly at times. Just so inconsistent defensively. They give up these big plays. The secondary's not playing well. I ranked that secondary lower. People kind of gave it to me for that in the offseason, but I'm standing by that secondary. And I know injuries play a part, but it plays a part. Did we expect these guys to stay fully healthy? Secondary gives up plays they should not give up. They weren't able to get much pressure. Remember, David Bakhtiari's out. They should have been able to. They should have been able to get more pressure. So it's just like, okay, 1 second the offense looks great. 1 second it's gone. Same thing with the defense. Give up these big plays they shouldn't give up. So it's a hard team to fully trust. It's a good team. We know that. I'm not saying there. I'm trusting them as a good team. But in terms of how good, are they very good? It's just fully hard to trust them because I guess the inconsistency. Where they at? What do I expect from them? I know the 49ers have injuries. Packers missing their best pass protector and their best pass rusher. Yet the Packers got blocked better than the 49ers, and they got a better pass rush. The Packers' pass rush has been worse football only through 2 games, but through 2 games. And they were pressuring Jimmy Garoppolo all night, getting in there easy. So what is with the 49ers offensive line? That might be a big concern. All of a sudden, very weird, no Zadarius Smith either. The Packers shouldn't be better in terms of the offensive line and the pass rush in that game. That should not happen. Credit to them, clutching up, getting pressure. The Packers, that is. 49ers can't let that happen. Home turf, prime time as well. And they should have held on in the end. They gave up the big plays there. 37 seconds, no timeouts, 2 plays. It's classic Aaron Rodgers. Ridiculous on him. Made some perfect throws. Got the ball right over Fred Warner. Made some perfect throws throughout the game from what I saw. And just clutched up there. Mason Crosby clutch, getting up there in age. Some of these kickers are just missing these high pressure but chip shot field goals. He's just drilling the 51 or 51 yarder, whatever it is there after being iced. Just absolutely clutch there. Absolutely clutch. 49ers, just think about it. If they would have scored 1 play later, Juszczyk, I don't think Juszczyk was supposed to get on there. He broke a couple tackles. If they would have scored, if they would have took another play, 49ers would have won the game. It's one of that crazy primetime games where some little things happen there that changed the game there. So, surprised we didn't see more Lance. We did see a little bit of him. Scored a touchdown right before half. Surprised we didn't see more. Garoppolo, it's the same thing. A little inconsistent, just clutched up at some times, but that backwards fumble, whatever, that was bad. Throwing a lot in traffic. Probably was fortunate he didn't get picked off couple times there, but clutched up, made some clutch throws. Kittle was beasting at the end there. Deebo Samuel made a tough catch. It's just a clutch win from the Packers. 49ers, really, it's a tough team, but it's one they should win. It's one for multiple reasons that I explained, so it's tough for them. They probably felt like they had it. No timeouts for the Packers there at the end. It's just clutch Rodgers. I'm feeling pretty good about the Packers, too. Like they could be 1-2 right now. With this one, they're very close, but they're 2-1. They're clutching up, but I feel pretty good because David Bakhtiari and Zadarius Smith aren't in there. It's significant losses. Those are big time players for them. When they get them back and rolling, and then when they're getting more and more rolling every week in terms of their offense too, everything's gonna click. It's gonna be a dangerous team. So it's just really at this point, just go out there and win. I don't really care how you do it. Just go out there and win. That's what they're doing at the moment after week 1 happened there. So. It's a big-time win. Every time, every year, every week, I talk way more than I want to. This video whoops my ass, but I enjoy it. I enjoy talking football. I enjoy giving what I think unique perspective on some of these games. We're always talking on Twitter, talking during the Monday night game, like always, every game, really. Got a lot of things going on there, so help us out. Follow us. Almost at 10K. Appreciate the following. Appreciate the support. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We got you covered with full NFL content. Again, more around the corner. Always adding more. So join us. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.